Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, the school opening finally kicks off.
Isang malaking tagumpay para sa mga kabataang Pilipino ang muling pagsisimula ng in-person learning.
A mix of relief, excitement, and anxiety for parents and students.
Mas matututo po sila kaysa sa online.
Ayun nga po, yung ibang bata po hindi sila vaccinated, ganun. Nag-aalala po kung baka mahawa.
Social distance po. Tapos nag-use po ng alcohol araw-araw.
Allegations of police harassment.
Para sa bata yan ah. Bakit nyo kinukuha? Pati ba naman yung para sa bata?
As authorities work to secure the safety of schools.
Pinapropose po namin na magamit po yung ating Special Education Fund na kinokolekta po ng LGUs natin para po kapag tatalaga ng at least one security personnel per school.
Education spokesperson Michael Poa joins us live. Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte says the return of students to in-person classes is a victory for the education sector. Over 28 million students are enrolled for the school year. Most of them are in public schools having face-to-face classes. And what is the agency's assessment of the first day of school? Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Education spokesperson Michael Poa. Attorney Poa, good to see you again. Welcome back to the source.
Good to see you too. Good morning, Ma'am Pinky.
So it was a very busy day, not just day, even the days and weeks before the first day of the opening of classes. We've had you a couple of times, Attorney. What is the assessment of the Education Department on the first day of classes, sir?
Well, ma'am, the general assessment based on the reports being submitted to us all day yesterday, we started monitoring from, I guess, 4 a.m. in the morning. The regional directors reported that everything went smoothly. So mapayapa naman po, maayos yung pagbabalik eskwela ng ating mga learners. And maybe if I could just take this opportunity to also thank because our partners, because the Department of Education did not do this alone. We have to thank our partner agencies, the ILG, the DPWH, MMDA, MWSS, all the other partner agencies, ma'am, that I failed to mention, that really helped us with this back-to-school program of the Department of Education. Specifically, also, we want to thank particularly our parents and the private sector and also our teachers who really prepared the schools.
Attorney, ibig sabihin ho ba nito wala kayong natanggap ng mga reklamo?
Hindi naman po sa wala. Meron pa rin pong mga issues that we had to face yesterday, pero hindi po siya major incidents or untoward incidents. So ano po ba yung mga reklamong natanggap namin? Sa command center po, because I usually check the command center myself, ang usual problems po na natanggap natin are questions on enrollment. Marami pa kasing hindi pa nakapag-enroll kahapon. Secondly, alam natin na marami rin pong mga tao, maraming mga magulang na sumama sa mga anak nila for various reasons. Yung iba po ay gusto lang samahan talaga yung anak nila after 2 years of not going back to school. Others naman po were asking for yung enrollment certificates na kinakailangan para dun sa DSWD educational aid. So yan po yung naging problema natin in terms of congestion sa ating mga schools.
Yeah, there also meron po mga reklamo ng pag sinasabing ang congestion, some were saying that inside, well, two things, yung iba po sinasabi pagdating sa loob, okay naman, mapayapa, merong physical distancing. On the other hand, meron din po sinasabi na medyo marami po yung mga estudyante per school. But let's go first to the problem outside the school. Sa labas ho kasi, tama yung sinabi nyo, dahil talagang dinadala ng mga magulang yung kanilang mga anak, nagkakaroon ho din kasi ng pagkumpulan dun sa labas. Hindi ho ba dapat that is something that needs to be fixed also? Because hindi naman po dapat pinapatupad lang ang physical distancing sa loob ng classroom, kundi sa labas bago po sila pumasok sa loob.
That's true, ma'am. That's why we really need also the cooperation of our parents. Of course, our school officials have been advised and are trying their best para hindi lang po sa loob, pati sa labas, ma-maintain natin yung physical distancing. The LGUs are also helping us in this part kasi kahapon po, no, DILG and the LGUs nag-deploy po talaga ng mga police or enforcement officers para po maging maayos. But in coming days, we will continue to monitor this, ma'am, and to ensure that kahit po sa labas ng paaralan natin ay hindi po magkumpulan katulad ng nakikita natin ngayon on screen.
Tama po. Importante din po yun dahil hindi naman po ang physical distancing ay dapat sa labas at sa loob din. But dahil po siguro sa excitement at takot din ng mga magulang, talagang kailangan dalhin yung kanilang mga anak. After all, it's been years since ang ating in-person classes. But let's talk about the visit of the Vice President, Education Secretary Sara Duterte. I know you were there also sa dinalupihan, di ho
Yes,
ba? Tell us more about what
Yes, ma'am.
happened there. At bakit yan po yung napiling eskwelahan na bisitahin ni Vice President at Education Secretary?
Opo. Well, bakit po yan yung napiling bisitahin? The Vice President and Secretary Sara Duterte wanted to visit naman a school outside the NCR para makita din natin yung situation. Also, Bataan is known for its best practices po dito sa public school system natin. So the Vice President wanted to see how they are implementing yung ating 5-day in-person classes to see if we can adopt any of their best practices for other public schools nationwide. Nakita kasi ito pong dinalupihan, sila po talaga ay nag-implement na ng full 5-day in-person classes. Now, during the visit, aside from giving, of course, her message to our learners, not just in dinalupihan, but our learners nationwide, she also interacted po with the students and in fact, went into the classrooms, which were actually not planned, but she really wanted to see yung ating mga learners and to say hi to them personally.
Oo nga po, nandun din po kayo at nung narinig ko po yung mga teachers, yung mga regional directors, I believe that, I'm sorry sir if you said this, I'm having a little bit of some audio problem, that in Bataan, is it true sir that it's 100% face-to-face classes?
Yes, ma'am, that's true. It's 100% in person, at least in Dinalupian Elementary School. I need to verify if lahat. But as far as we were informed yesterday, most, if not all of Bataan, talagang 100% face-to-face na po sila, in-person classes sila. So we wanted to see then yung paano nila in-implement kasi best practices po yan in terms of our public school system. So we wanted to see how it was implemented and hopefully it can be adopted by other schools nationwide.
And what did you learn about that regarding that visit? Why was it successful and what were the good practices na pwede pong gayahin ng iba?
Opo, napakaayos po kasi sa kanila in terms of meron silang shifting schedule pa rin po, no? So they still do morning and afternoon shifts. But I think the school administrator, I mean the school officials, the teachers really planned it out in a way na kahit mag-shifting schedule po tayo, maganda naman po yung takbo sa loob ng classroom. There are, kahit na po na, yan nakikita nyo ngayon sa screen, there is enough spaces, kahit na hindi natin masasabi na talagang napakalaki ng physical distancing, at least there are spaces in between children at hindi po siya ganun ka-congested. Now, we want to keep on discussing things with the school officials to see kung ano pa yung mga ginawa nila prior to the balik eskwela para makita natin kung anong pwede po natin i-adopt sa ibang schools.
But a template such as that one in the Dinalupihan, attorney, could possibly be used, but could also be different. Primarily, and I'm just assuming, sir, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that posible pong mas konti ang mga estudyante, for example, in Dinalupihan, than some schools in Metro Manila, for example, Quezon City or even Manila?
That's very true, ma'am. That's why we wanted to see lang paano yung preparation, how they were able to implement in person talaga properly and smoothly, because we really saw it was implemented quite well. But again, there is no real template that we can use. Only because, as I think I've mentioned in our previous interviews, talagang case-to-case basis po siya eh. Like for example, yung infrastructure part. Yung mga classrooms nito, baka malaki, baka konti yung students, and then when we look at Metro Manila, talagang highly urbanized, sobrang congested yung classrooms natin. So again, it's a case-to-case basis, although of course it was nice to be able to talk to the school officials and to congratulate them also for what they've done.
Flooded schools, sir, there was a video that was making the rounds on social media. I'm not sure if you saw this, sir. Ito po yung sa Hagonoy, Bulacan, na nangyari po. They had to carry the students inside the classroom dahil nga po nagbaha. Yung mga ganong sitwasyon, what's the guideline, for example, of the DepEd? Kailan ho bang pumasok pa yung mga estudyante kung ganyan po yung sitwasyon?
Sa ngayon po kasi ma'am, ang LGU talaga ang primary na may may jurisdiction or authority to suspend classes kaagad in coordination with the NDRRMC, or pag nakita nilang ganyang baha, they can easily suspend classes. So this was also brought to our attention yesterday. So I think we will have to coordinate, and I think we already started coordinating with the school, kasi pag ganyang baha, perhaps suspension of classes would have been in order na, kasi talagang hindi na ma-access yung school. At delikado rin po yan for our learners.
Tama. Sa kanilang kalusugan, delikado din po yan. All right. Attorney Poa, we just need to take a very short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb, our Source Today education spokesperson, Michael Poa. Attorney, so let's talk about class suspensions. There's about over 100 classes suspended today due to the typhoon. I believe this is also according to the NDRRMC. Alam naman po natin, rainy season na, July or August. Meron na ho bang plano ang DepEd in terms of course, yung class suspension, as you mentioned, that's really up to the LGU and the NDRRMC. But how can they actually make up for this sakaling magtuloy-tuloy po o dumami itong mga class suspensions? It becomes more frequent rather.
Opo, we are constantly monitoring the situation, ma'am, right now, no. In fact, yesterday medyo sayang nga na antala yung pagbubukas or pagbabalik eskwela natin because nga dito sa bagyong Florita. So right now, our field operations team is closely coordinating with the schools. When the students get back, kasi ang plano po natin sa learning recovery plan ng ating schools nationwide is that we will be assessing the students, meaning we will be giving them assessments so that we will be able to profile our learners and cluster them accordingly para po dun, because what we are targeting to do is to identify saan yung mga learning gaps ng ating students at dun mag-focus para mabalik natin, ma-improve natin kaagad yung learning gaps natin. So this is something that we will need to closely coordinate with the schools with, specifically for areas affected by the typhoons, kasi nga nabawasan pa yung araw ng pag-aaral nila. We will again come up with updates and maybe perhaps come up with a plan once we've discussed everything with the school and we assess the situation, para po hindi naman maging parang lugi ang mga bata na to at mawalan sila ng sufficient time in terms of school time this academic year.
You mentioned infrastructure a while ago, sir. Let's talk about the lack of classrooms and desks and even teachers. Umpisahan na po natin sa classrooms. Ano ho ba ang posibleng asahan ng mga estudyante in terms of building additional classrooms? Let's start with that, and then possibly school desks and even more teachers.
Opo. Building additional classrooms, as we all know, will entail additional budget. We have already allocated po, no? We have in fact proposed for the 2023 budget, may congressional hearings na po tayo underway, and we've already proposed for a budget of around 86.5 billion for new construction and repair for next year. This will have to be done, of course, in coordination with the DPWH. Ito po ay on appeal, yung 86.5 billion initially, hindi po kasi nabigay sa atin ng DBM because of certain parameters that they also follow. So tayo po ay nag-a-appeal. Ang appeal amount natin is around 85.9 billion. The amount is targeted to, I can't give you the exact number, but it's around 34,000 classrooms yung target natin na magawa next year in coordination with DPWH. So yan po yung long-term plan talaga natin kasi as we all know, it will take time to build classrooms. For in terms
Mm-mm.
of school furniture, yung mga tables, chairs, there was already
Mga desk,
a
armchair.
mapping done by
Mm-mm.
yes, but there was already a mapping done by our regional offices as early as 2 weeks ago. We identified schools na may kakulangan sa mga armchairs, mga tables, school furniture, and then we also identified schools na may excess. So what we did, ma'am, in the interim was to request those schools with excess school furniture na makuha muna yon at nilipat natin dun sa mga schools na may kakulangan. Ayan po yung ginawa natin
Opo.
in the interim. Of course, if we will need
Oo.
to purchase more of those, we will do so next year. As to your third question, as to the teachers, we did the same thing. There were schools with excess teachers. There were schools na may kulang na teachers. So we are looking at yung ating guidelines kasi may guidelines tayo on transfer of teachers. For as long as pasok po siya dun sa guidelines, we are looking at transferring teachers. Of course, as much as possible kung kailangan maging convenient rin sa teachers, meaning hindi pwedeng masyadong malayo kung saan sila nakatira as
Opo.
per our guidelines. But
Yeah.
the long term, again, for next year, we are indeed looking at hiring more teachers po for next year. There's already a budget allocated for that as well.
How many teachers do you plan to hire next year?
I think if memory serves me correct, meron tayong vacancy of around 9,000 teachers. I don't want to be quoted sana on that number just yet. But the plan is to fill all the vacancies that we have now as far as teaching
Mhm.
staff is concerned for next year. Of course, ma'am, this will not
But
happen quickly. Why? Because
mm-mm.
there is an application process.
Opo. Let's talk about just very quickly the desks and the teachers. You were saying that there's some oversupply in some areas. Would you be able to tell us saan yung oversupply at saan kailangan dalhin? Are there areas in Metro Manila na kulang pa po ng sabihin po natin desks and teachers, because you said there are oversupply of desks and teachers in some areas that could possibly be moved to
Yes.
areas na nagkulang. Meron ho ba kayong report kung saan
Opo,
yung kulang na kailangan pong
Meron kaming report. Unfortunately, I don't have the report right now, but I'll give you an example. Sa Jose Abad Santos sa Manila, may kakulangan yan nung umpisa, as I was informed, sa tables and chairs. But during the Brigada Eskwela, we were able to get from this school called Carlos Romulo school, no? At doon po tayo kumuha ng excess at nilagay naman natin sa Jose Abad Santos. So as to the other regions, we do have a report. But unfortunately, I don't have it right now. Pero yan po yung ginagawa natin in the interim po talaga.
Okay. So meron ho talaga naglagay po ng armchairs or school desks doon po sa Jose Abad because nalaman po prior to the opening of classes na may kakulangan. That's what you're saying,
Yes,
attorney, no?
according to the regional,
But
yes po. According to the regional director, yan po yung nangyari.
But did you receive any reports na it was enough? The armchairs, the school desks were enough in Jose Abad. Did you get any follow-up on that, sir? Or was this raised to you, this concern raised to you? Na posibleng kulang pa rin?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The Undersecretary for Field Operations no actually visited yung Jose Abad Santos yesterday along with so many other schools around NCR. So the pictures were shown to me na talagang okay na po, sufficient na po, and even the principal, I think of Jose Abad Santos already informed the field operations team na sapat na po yung ating chairs. I think if I may, I think you were pertaining to a tweet of a news outfit yesterday. Ganun po ba yun? I think may tweet kasi about that, or that's totally. Yeah. Well, the explanation given to us for that is that the reason why the children were nakaupo, no, is because daw po they were doing psychosocial activities in the morning. But actually, sufficient naman po
Mhm.
yung chairs nila. That's why the teacher opted to arrange muna yung mga or rearrange yung ating mga armchairs because they wanted to do psychosocial activities, which is in line with the directive given to them by the Department of Education. Na for the first week, we have to
I
focus also on the
see.
mental wellness of our learning. So psychosocial muna tayo.
Uh-huh. You see that, well, that was, anyway, that was that other photo. Okay, so I want to add this, sir, before I forget. Meron ho kasi ako na balitaan yung 5,000 peso allowance for teachers. Is this, how many teachers are supposed to get this? Are the funds readily available? How many have actually availed of it?
Yes, the funds are readily available, ma'am. We have already downloaded the funds to the school division offices. Who are going to get this? All public teachers who have at least one teaching load will be entitled to the 5,000 cash allowance for teachers. We started distributing the amount yesterday through the schools division's office. Ngayon po, we're getting updates as we go. Yesterday from NCR, almost 100% na po yung nakakakuha nitong 5,000. Kung meron mang hindi nakakuha, it's up to yung ano lang, timing difference with bank crediting. Pero we are targeting to be able to distribute the 5,000 to teachers nationwide within the week, hopefully.
And is this one time, sir?
Yes, that's one time, ma'am. That's a one-time ano po, cash allowance.
Okay, again, we need to take a very short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, education spokesperson Michael Poa. Attorney, yung pong isa pang video na lumabas din sa Twitter, ano po, kinonfiscate ho kasi supposedly ng QCPD yung mga ayuda that were given to parents and students consisting of they were masks, alcohol, and food. Dito po malapit sa President Corazon Elementary School by Salinlahi Alliance for Children's Concern. I'm sure, sir, nakaabot na rin po sa inyo yan. Bawal ho ba yan?
Opo, actually nakaabot na po sa amin 'yan. And we asked na po our team to coordinate with Quezon City LGU to find out po kung ano po talaga nangyari diyan, ma'am. As of now, wala pa akong details, but we want to know rin kung anong nangyari, bakit na-confiscate po yung mga 'yan. So I guess pending details, ayoko naman po nang magbigay ng any information kasi wala pa po talaga akong maibibigay.
Yeah, I understand now, sir, because we need to find out more information regarding this. But I guess when you look at the video, siguro yung mahirap siguro i-digest dito na nangyari ho yan kasi sa harapan ng mga estudyante na bata. I hope you know what I
Opo.
mean, that what kind of ano kung kaya ang kanilang pakiramdam na may nakikita silang ganyan, napakabata pa po nila. So maybe on that siguro angle, what can the DepEd say about that? Because when you see, sir, ang liliit pa po ng mga estudyante, and they have to witness such a thing.
Yes po. Yes po, that's really a concern. Lalo na unang araw mo sa eskwela. I'm sure yung mga bata, some of them medyo anxious pa sa pagpasok, although some were excited. No? So yeah, I agree with you, ma'am. That's really a troubling sight to see, especially for children. So, but again, the police force kasi it's not under DepEd. So we'll have to really talk to the LGU concerned to see what really happened po dito. And hopefully
I
we
know.
can prevent a similar situation from happening again.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, sir. Hindi ho kasi sa inyo to hindi ho ba natural naman nasa LGU to kasi if it's really the QCPD, which is what they're referring to, ano. So anyway, okay, I understand the constraints here, especially of the DepEd. Let's go to very quickly, sir. I have 2 minutes left. They submitted already the budget. It's about the over 5 trillion peso budget to House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Ang tiningnan ko po dito yung budget ho kasi ng DepEd, not the Education Department, but the DepEd itself is about 710.6 billion. We talked about this before, sir. Magkano ho ba yung hinihingi nyo at malaking kakulangan ho ba ito doon sa hinihingi, pinopropose ninyong budget for DepEd?
That's true, ma'am. Malaking difference. We were proposing 849 billion po. And then after it started with 701 lang, and then now we're up to 710 dun sa nasubmit po sa Kongreso. But as far as that is concerned, of course, it will affect all of our plans in terms of new classrooms also for next year. But again, the budget deliberations will be underway, and we will try to make our case pa rin po sa ating mga lawmakers, sa ating mga senators and congressmen to see if we can find a way to increase pa rin po yung budget for DepEd.
Last issue, sir, there is a possible hearing already on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, by senators into this 2.4 billion pesos worth of allegedly, well, said to be overpriced and outdated laptops. I know that you said the documents have already been submitted, but is there anything new you can share with us regarding this issue?
Opo, I'm not sure, ma'am, if napag-usapan na natin before ito, but aside from the submission of the documents to the Commission on Audit, the DepEd also requested the Commission on Audit to already conduct a fraud audit for this transaction.
Right.
As far as DepEd is concerned. I think we've mentioned that. As far as the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing is concerned naman po, the DepEd will always be transparent, accessible, and of course, we're committed also to accountability. So we will cooperate naman po with the Senate.
But who is the point person here, attorney, when these laptops were procured? I know this was procured by the DBMPS, ano po, pero sino po yung point person sa DepEd?
Opo, yung sa DepEd po kasi yung mga I guess the officials who were in charge of this is no longer with us. So I don't want to also, I hope you can understand, ma'am. I was also asked about this in another program. I hope you don't let me implicate persons unnecessarily while the fraud audit is still pending. Kasi we don't, you know naman that the public, parang we don't want to throw shade against people kung wala pa naman pong findings yung kuha as far as the fraud audit is concerned. Siguro hintayin na lang natin dito sa Senate hearing kung sino yung mga ipapatawag po nila.
Spoken like a true attorney, sir, ha? Okay.
Sorry,
Education
I hope you
spokesperson.
understand. No, ma'am, I'm always very open. Yeah, I'm always very open with you, ma'am
Opo.
Pinky. You know that. If I don't have the information, I'll tell you I won't. But ito talaga, I really don't want to unnecessarily implicate people without really,
Okay.
findings pa naman as to culpability.
Fair enough, sir. So we'll wait for the Blue Ribbon Committee hearing on this. I believe, again, this will be on Thursday. Education spokesperson, attorney Michael Poa. Sir, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras as usual.
Maraming salamat, ma'am. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.